Welcome to Storytelling. This week's guest is a visionary and the brains behind Announce Property, a specialised property consultation firm committed to easing the property transaction experience for investors, first-time and second-time buyers. Throughout our discussion, we explore the depths of his personal journey, uncovering the driving force behind his work and the profound importance he attaches to building a legacy for his family. Please welcome Moses Bright. Hello, Moses, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Debbie, for having me today. Really excited to be here.
Moses, can you tell me a bit about your childhood?
My childhood was very, very interesting. Growing up, I grew up in Nigeria, in West Africa, and I was the only child of my mother. But I lost my father when I was 7 years old, so it was a bit traumatic for me, that period of time. But growing up, I grew up in a very vibrant, exciting family. And something that really, really got to me was the fact that I couldn't really say those words, dad, when I was growing up. I just wanted to be in a home where I had mom and dad and we could, play together, read together. But I just didn't have that when I was growing up.
How did it make you feel knowing that your dad had passed away and you didn't have this figure there that you could call dad at the time? What implications did that have on your life?
For me, it was I would say it wasn't easy. The fact that I couldn't come home every single day and speak to a father, that really affected me when I was young. I didn't think about it too much at that time, but it did take a toll on me while growing up.
How did your mum feel about this? Because obviously she's now your sole carer, taking care of you. What effect did it have on her?
My mum was extremely supportive, and I think I'm so grateful to her for that. She didn't make me feel any emptiness on the inside. She was so loving and just showered with love. She was a mother who loved her son, because my father wasn't really her wife. My father was previously married and had other kids, but all she did was she was so supportive, and she ensured that I didn't feel any loneliness. So that was very, very important for me as well.
How did this pan out for you as an adult?
Looking at my life, I realized that I had to settle some scores within myself. So growing up, I would sometimes just feel a bit down because there was no father figure around me. So what I decided to do was, in my mid-20s, I went back home. I traveled back to Nigeria to speak to my stepmother just to get some closure. I wanted more information about my father, and she told me some amazing stories about him and how he passed away. And I think that really helped me just clear the air that he was still an amazing man, and it's just unfortunate that he passed away at a young age.
So you had that closure, having spoken with your stepmother. This led to you wanting to create a new path for yourself and create a legacy for your own children. Can you talk to us a bit more about that?
I think I was so eager to create a home for myself when I grew up. That became a dream for me. It was about legacy. I was thinking, when my father passed away, there was nothing I had to say, I got this from my dad. You watch movies and you see sometimes, the guy has a watch from his dad, which is passed down from my great grandfather. I didn't have any of those. So for me, I decided that when I'm old enough and I'm mature enough and ready to start my own family, that will be so important for me to raise my kids in a home where they can call me dad. I was actually looking forward to the day my children would say dad, and I really wanted to be that father that's there for their kids. So I started dreaming from the age of 7, 8, 9, I would say. I just started dreaming of starting a family, having a home, getting married. Those were exciting times for me, and finding the way they happened, it was more like a dream come true. So now I am playing a role of a father to my kids.
And you have two wonderful daughters,
Yes, I do.
and you've recently celebrated a birthday with one of them as well. How does that make you feel knowing that you have fulfilled that dream?
It's so exciting because I'm involved in the planning the birthday, getting some of the presents, and looking at my kids and see how excited they are. My 5 year old was. It's such an amazing, beautiful moment for me personally, and to be able to watch my daughters celebrate their birthdays, both of them, and obviously we had one, like you said, not too long ago. That is so joyful. I don't even have the words to explain how joyful I feel on the inside, because it's knowing that I didn't have this life, but now they get to enjoy this life. And I think that is so amazing.
This theme of legacy has also played out in your professional life as well. So, how does that tie in?
I wanted to leave a legacy for my kids. Legacy was, it's not just in the form of material things. One, legacy is knowing that they have a father who loves them, who cares for them, who provides for them, and also a father who was thinking through things, who was thinking about the future for them. So one thing that got my attention when I was young was property, real estate. So I started my real estate company years ago, and that was something I thought I could use to leave a legacy for my own children. So give them something I never had when I was growing up.
Why is it so important for you?
It's important for me because to today, I can't really share anything with my kids. So I can't show them that this is what my father left for me. I'm never to show them anything. And I think it's important as a man to be able to not just provide for your family, but I think it's also important to plan ahead and think about the future. What happens when you're not here? Yes, I want them to remember me as a wonderful dad, a dad who really cared for them, who raised them with their mother, but also I also want them to have something so they can pass on this legacy with their own family and their children. So it's so important for me. And I think living a legacy for your kids is also a reminder that yes, you love them so much, you cared about their future.
Like you say, it doesn't necessarily have to be materialistic, but it's just nice to have some form of something there
Mm.
that you can actually reflect back on, look back on, and it lessens the loss of a past relative. And I think that's why it's so important. Professionally, you are also helping others with their legacies.
So one of the business ventures that I looked into while growing up was real estate, property. So going back to my childhood, I was privileged to witness a property being built from scratch back home. And this was way back, many years ago. And I think that did something for me. And it was more like something that property is something that will always be here. And they can go on, they can be here for the next 100 years and even over 100 years. And so I decided to get involved in property, but also help people also get involved in property. And something I did my research, it was years ago, I did my research, and I saw that people sometimes struggle to, for example, get a mortgage and things like that, because I once worked in a bank. And that for me was like, well, if I can part of the journey of people trying to get their first residential home or investment property, that would be something I'd be very proud of. So I started my company, got myself a property myself, my family, and then I thought, what, I would love to do this for other people. And that's what I currently do. Just help people get involved in property here in the UK.
Now, what you offer is something very different to what other people are doing. Can you give an example of someone that you have helped?
For me, I'm helping people who want to buy. So these are first-time buyers. These are people who they have the money, but they don't know how to go about the buying process. So, good example. I had a client who him and his wife wanted to buy their first home. But they're very, very busy. They just don't have the time to start searching online for loads of properties. They were thinking, do we go to the bank to get a mortgage, or do we speak to a broker? And how do we even have time to organize the viewings and negotiate and on all those things? But when they came to me, they realized that with my company, we're able to do all these things for you. So when clients come to me, you literally, it's a one-stop shop where we sort out your finances. We help you get a mortgage in principle with one of our brokers. So we have solicitors, we have accountants, we have surveyors, we have all the professionals that you need to purchase your home. And this was how we were able to help this client purchase the property. They were working, we found them the property. All they did was they went to view it, they liked it, we were there to make sure it was okay. We negotiated on their behalf, we got them a solicitor, and we managed the entire process from start until we were able to hand over the keys to them. And while we were done, at the end of it all, they said to us, we would also like to refurbish this property. And we also helped them to carry out the refurb. So they were going about their day-to-day business. And at the end, we give them back their keys. And you can imagine the joy. I mean, they were so excited. It's literally helping our clients to manage the entire buying process. And that's just a client who wanted to buy their first home. But we also help people to purchase investment properties here in the UK. And we manage the entire process for them.
So that's quite a journey from going back to your childhood, seeing
Yes.
a house being built for the first time, living out your legacy, and also helping others build their legacies as well.
Yes.
Having reflected on that journey, how does that make you feel?
It's an amazing feeling. And I think I'll always go back to when I'm working with clients and the joy in their kids is priceless. And to give a good example, we recently got a property for one of our clients, and it's amazing that just to watch the daughter and their son just coming in and they saying, "This is my room." Oh no, this is my room. And then I asked them, "Do you like it?" And they say, "Yeah, they love it." That for me is just priceless. It's incredible.
Going back to the topic of legacy, what would you say to someone who hasn't really paid much attention to the subject of legacy? What advice would you give to them?
I think it's so important that they start thinking about it and think about it and start planning. Legacy is something that it shows how caring you are, because legacy is not about you. I'm married for 10 years now, and I've got a beautiful wife and two kids. And for me as a man, I'm always thinking, would they be okay if I'm not around? I'm just imagining if my mother didn't have an amazing job, if she didn't, and she was just relying only on my father, how would she have coped? Unfortunately, some of my friends have lost their parents, and I know and I saw what they went through. And I said to myself, not you, Moses, not you. So from a very young age, I think at the age of 20 was when I started thinking of getting myself life insurance. I started to research, I started speaking to other people, I started speaking to older people, and I thought, what have you put in place for your family? And that was when I learned about life insurance and having a will and a trust. So those are the things I literally started putting in place. And I have put those things in place. My life insurance is in place and my will and a trust is already in place because I am thinking not just about myself, but about the future of my family. When I go, what words would they be saying? And that's what people need to ask themselves as well. When you leave this earth, your kids or your partner, your spouse, will they say, you know what, I loved him or I loved her, and thank you for doing this for us? Or would they be in a more difficult situation or circumstances when you leave? So I think people need to start thinking really hard about the future of their family and loved ones.
And what's next for you, Moses?
For me, it's about helping more people across the country. We want people to really know what we do. It's not just about buying a property for me. It's about buying a property, buying a house, and turning that property into a beautiful, loving, caring home. And that's what matters to me the most. When people buy their properties, I always say to them, I'm going to help you get your property, but you're going to turn this to a home. And that for me is something I've been doing for years, for quite a long time now. And I love when I get pictures or I get phone calls from my clients who I've helped them to purchase the property, and sometimes they'll show me pictures. They look what we've done today. So look at our new home. When can you come visit? I've been invited to weddings. I've been invited to parties, and just to go in there and to see how people have changed the property that we got them into a beautiful, loving home. So I think for me, the next big thing right now is just reaching out to more people who would like to buy their own home or also start investing in property. So that's what it's just a big help as much people as we can.
Moses, thank you for sharing your story of legacy, and thank you so much for being a guest on his podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Debbie. Really appreciate it.
If you would like further information about Moses, then please follow the link in the show notes.